Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to episode 4 in our Don't Starve Together single player learning experience tutorial. Not quite sure what to call this series as just yet, but that's kind of the general description of it. Anyways, we've just decided where we're going to have our main base, and the next step is to ask what now. So to keep things simple, we will just look at the name of the game, which is Don't Starve. So to date, we've just been relying on stuff that we've been able to scavenge through the world. However, this is quite inefficient and generally not as renewable as you think, because we've been picking all those carrots out of the ground. Those never come back. And the berries that we collected at the beginning of the on the day one there, obviously they're not such a great option because they expire very, very quickly. The regular berries don't expire quite as fast, but they're similarly not quite as good as a long-term solution either. So we want to set up a way to get some crafted meals, which we do in a crock pot. So we're going to need to get some of those set up. We're also going to want to have a fridge, which is why we got lucky in the desert biome opening tumbleweeds to get some gears. So we've got the resources to get our fridge. And then we're going to need some meat. And for that, we have our lovely spider friends just over here, which will provide us some meat, as well as I've got another one down here if the push comes to shove and I don't get lucky on the drops from the spiders, because they do have 3 random drops, right? Meat, silk, or the spider glands. And spider glands are handy because they'll give us some healing, which we're definitely going to need at some point. So the things that we need to look for getting crock pots is we'll need some charcoal. Remember, we got some from the dragonfly desert down here. We chopped down a couple of these scraggly looking burnt trees, which we got some charcoal from. So that was a kind of hint on what we need to do to get charcoal to build the crock pots. And for that, I took 18 of those birch nuts that I had harvested from collecting all those trees, and I planted them down in an open area not too close to other resources that will burn when I set this all on fire, although I did kind of incorporate a couple of extra trees because we're going to need 24 charcoal in total, but with that 18 that I planted plus these 2 extra trees, we should get that. Our sanity is taking quite a hit from all that world dropping or wormhole hopping that we had done, so we need to get some of that back, and we're going to do that by prototyping a couple of things. We need to get ourselves a weapon and some armor, so we're going to make a couple of ropes. So that's one prototype there just for making the first rope that we got. And then we're going to get ourselves a spear, so a couple of sticks, a rope, and a flint gets us a spear. And then some armor, which is the football helmet, 1 pig skin, which I grabbed out of Chester there that I just put away a minute ago in the last episode, and that second rope that I made, and now we've got a football helmet. In Don't Starve Together, you only benefit from 1 piece of armor. So it's not much use to have both a log suit and a helmet going, so it is actually handy or preferable to always have your backpack on most of the time. Not all of the time, and we'll go over those situations because I am a firm believer in not being handicapped by always having to use the backpack, but that's a story for another episode for sure. So now that it's evening time, we'll head up towards our twin spider nests here, which while they're at level 1 should be pretty easy to handle. So 3 whacks should get us there, and that's why I built the armor. Because when you're dealing with multiple spiders, even though I know the patterns pretty well, can never be perfect all the time. So with spiders, when you hit them, you will stun them and they can't attack back, but when you've got multiples, you do have to take that into account. So we've kind of gotten all of those spiders out of there. I'm gonna knock one of those spider dens now and just take the two silk out of it, because I don't really need to have both of them pop up into tier 2, which would, in our current state, wouldn't be like totally really cool to handle. So where was that third spider bro nest? Down there. So I'm going to head down to this third nest and try and farm up another piece of meat or two, just so we have that ready to go for later. I've still got these butterfly wings, which I want to use up sooner rather than later, because they're not far from turning yellow at this point. So it's a good point to note there, is how close we are to our healing food going bad, right? We should get here before night, because we can't actually fight at night. It's an important thing to note. You can't do anything at night. Oh, and this one's already at tier 2. Took that hit just to get that kill in there. Now, it would have been handier to come here and kill this spider nest, but hindsight is 20. Well, it's not even hindsight. It's like I didn't know at all that that was going to be such a... or that one was going to be, had grown up so much. So it is what it is. We live and we learn, right? So just this night here, I'm going to grab some of these basic resources on our way back to our base, which gives those trees that we planted a little bit more time to grow, because I'm pretty sure that they won't have all popped up to the next stage by yet. And then we'll come back here in a minute or two to burn down those trees, get our charcoal, and start going on our crock pots. So as we can see, all our trees here have grown, so we're just going to light them up. It'll take them a minute or two to get going, but since we've only got 1% left on our axe, we're going to get our next prototype, which is going to be a luxury axe. I've got a special skin on my axe here, which is part of the Wes update they did fairly recently, a couple of months ago. But it's invisible in our hands, if you can see there. There is an axe there, believe it or not, but it's just a skin. So we kind of want to hang out close to these trees as they burn. Not too close so that we overheat or anything. We're going to need seeds, so we're just grabbing that, and we might as well eat up those guys, because when these stop burning, there is a possibility that an extra charcoal will pop out of it, and we want to kind of grab those and you know, stop the smoldering. That one's far enough away, so it should be okay. Because like I said, I only planted 18, right? But I needed 24. So I need a few of those extra ones, and then we also get a couple of birch nuts extra out of it as well. I wasted that other axe already, so we're good to go there. And we'll just collect up all of this charcoal that we got here, and we should be good to go. So we'll come back there when I've got all this collected up. Alright, so out of the 18 that I planted, I ended up with 40 charcoal. Just so you guys know, don't always expect results that good. And then I am also actually kind of low on rocks, which I didn't notice before. I'm going to need to make 4 crock pots, and they take 3 cut stone each. So I'm going to actually need to get some more stone before I can actually move on here. So just going to put a couple of things away. I'm going to plant this guy for now just to get him out of my inventory. Throw that down. And we're right beside a rock biome, so we're just going to go over here and farm on some of the gold rocks, because it can't hurt to have gold, so that we can make some more of these luxury tools, which are definitely improvement over the flint versions. So while I gather up enough rocks to finish doing what I'm doing, I'm just going to throw her on a quick pause, and we'll fast forward for you guys. Alright, so I farmed up the rest of the rocks that I needed. And I'll just show you guys here before we get going. The crock pot needs 3 cut stone, 6 charcoal, and 6 sticks for each one that we want to make. So in that case, if we do just a little bit of quick math, we're going to need 3 times 4 is 12 cut stone. So we've got the 12 cut stone. And I want to get this kind of set up as close to my fire as possible. Now this isn't going to be the most aesthetically pleasing setup, but for an early base, I think Chester is just a bit too close, so we'll see if we can't manually push him over a bit to get that one in there. I'm just setting up 4 crock pots like that, and then we'll need 1 more cut stone for the fridge, along with one of our gears and some of the gold that we got there. Now, while I've got a little bit of this fire left, I'm going to cook up some of these carrots. Cooking a food will restore a little bit of its freshness. Oh, and I missed out on that. I'm just going to feed it a stick just to get a little bit more freshness from that meat by cooking it up. And then we will cook up some meatballs. So 1 meat and 3 fillers. In this case, it just happens to be carrots. We'll make us some meatballs. Now we can put our leftover food in the fridge. And also we're going to move Chester out of the way a little bit this way because of my next setup that I'm going to be doing right here. Oh, did I not? Oh yeah, okay. So I got my 3 meatballs. I got some spider glands, which I don't need on me. Okay, put my rocks away for now. I'm going to need 6 gold nuggets. We're going to need the reeds, and we're going to need the 2 seeds that I picked up from birds just landing kind of nearby. You can always chase them away to kind of get a quicker go on your seeds if you need to. So we'll turn these reeds into paper. And now we can make a bird cage. I've got a pirate bird cage, which I'm going to put together here. It's not the best one, but it is a fancier one, so just showing off some of the extra goodies that you can get once you play this game for a little while and open up some of the gifts that you get. By now, usually if you're just starting off, you should have gotten a gift which pops up here, and once you get close to your science or alchemy engine, you'll be able to open your gift to get it back. Now we need to get a bird into the bird cage, so we're going to need something to catch it. I'm not full on my sanity just yet, so I do have room, quote unquote, to prototype the bird trap. So that was the other reason I wanted to farm those spiders for and get another seed. We can bait our bird trap and then just walk away for a little bit. It is in this portion here just kind of beneficial to chase birds away, because the more birds that are on your screen, the less chance that one will come down and land. Just as a casual observation, I don't have any actual proof of this. This could just be like negative reinforcement, but I have noticed that from time to time you can put that bird trap in a spot that's just kind of dead, like birds just never land there for whatever reason, in which case we just go ahead and pick it up, move it someplace else, rebait it, and we should get a bird here by the end, within a few minutes anyway, within a minute or two. Shouldn't take too long to get a bird in there. If you've gone 1 or 2 days without catching a bird in there, then absolutely you do have to move it, because you'll never get a bird in there. I'm just going to put down a couple of these tools, just using the floor as storage for right now. I like keeping a clean inventory, so that keeps my sanity at a certain level. But I do want to get a red bird, which lands more frequently on the light green turf, whereas on the dark green turf only the crow type birds will land. So now we've got the bird in the bird cage, which will be handy for making eggs once we have excess meat. We don't truly have excess meat right now, but it won't be long before we do. So I'm down to 70, so that gets us back up to 134. And we'll head back on over and kill off some more of these spiders. Just because of the name of the game. Says don't starve, so let's make sure that we don't starve. That one I took a hit there on purpose. The other ones were not totally on purpose, but sometimes you just kind of gotta take a hit or two. I've lost a little bit, about half of my durability on this helmet now. If you're worried about your pig skins, it is better just to unequip your backpack, especially when you've got a lot of open slots, and because wood and grass is a lot more renewable than pig skins in the early game anyways. So I've clicked on the add fuel before the actual darkness hit, so it actually let me light my fire even though everything was totally dark. So if I add the fresh meat to the old meat, it kind of restores a little bit of freshness as well, and then cooking it up will restore some more. Oops, so I've built that fridge just a little bit too far away. I can't quite reach those other crock pots. That is a mistake that will happen from time to time, but placing your fridge mistakenly is not the end of the world. Just the way the math works on fridges, you'll only lose 1 gold tearing down a fridge and rebuilding it. So I am going to do that. So we see we got back 1 cut stone, 1 gear, and 1 gold nugget. But the overall cost for it was 2 gold nuggets, 1 gear, and 1 cut stone. So we just want to make sure we place that fridge a little bit inside. And the reason why I'm not putting it right in the middle is because this way I can actually fit 4 fridges on the inside here, which it's not totally pertinent right now, but towards the later game, maybe you might want to have 4 fridges there. And we'll see that towards the end of the game there. So we've covered off the main name of the game here, which is Don't Starve. We've got a place to get meat, which is at the spider den. And don't worry, I will move that once this grows up to tier 3, then we can go over there, kill all the spiders, then kill the nest, and it will drop the nest back again, and I can move it a little bit closer. Maybe we'll put it over here somewhere, or maybe down here. Not 100% sure just yet. But there we've got a source of meat there with those spiders there, and we can also come down here if we get unlucky with the drops there. And we've got a we're running out of our source of filler, so because our carrots are almost done, but we've gotten lucky in this map that we've got the juicy berry spawns, and that's lucky in the fact that each juicy berry plant here will give us 3 berries each time. So we kind of only need to go and grab 1 set of berries for each meatball that we want to make. Meatballs are what we'll be eating primarily for the first few days of the playthrough, but going on towards the mid game, we'll move to bacon and eggs. And for that, we're going to need a different source of meat, which is the kind of the third reason why I built my main base where it is because we have access to these vultures here. So these guys in this rocky biome that look like this are vultures, and we can actually farm them with a special technique, although the kiting of them is a little bit tricky. Usually you can just tank and spank those guys, kind of like spiders. You just have to be willing to put forth the resources to remaking your armor. So as I mentioned earlier, that we have a event happening in the last episode. I mentioned on the the odd tens plus 1, so that's day 11, day 31, day 51, etc. we have an event that we kind of want to make sure we participate in. Now, it's not super important, but it is kind of one of those long-term things that gets you towards another super useful item in the end game. So we are coming up this way to make sure that we can grab Glommer when he spawns. This has a secondary effect of exploring some of this black area here and here that I haven't explored just yet. So that's kind of another thing that we want to do. And then now we've come across, this is the area where we'll have the meteor showers. If you see these black marks in the spot where you were going to build your base originally, abort that plan. I've based in the meteor zone before. It is possible. You can never ever take off your armor because if you get hit with a random meteor, that's obviously usually the death of you right there. And then it also leads to having to rebuild your base from time to time when it gets spanked. I'm going to grab that rod because that tall bird is distracted. Actually, now he's on me, so we'll go over the kiting pattern for tall birds. So 2 hits and kite away from his attack. And he was weakened down from the frogs from a little bit, so that didn't take nearly as long as it usually does. It usually takes about 5 rounds of that to get past the tall bird. And here we have a moon rock. I'm not super versed on what these are used for, but I always grab them. I've got the inventory space for it, so why not? Let's grab that while we see it. We've got the Glommer statue here, so we need to make sure that we come back here as soon as it hits nighttime there. This is the Pig King. He is in the middle of a very small pig village because we are on a small map. And that's a little bonus there. I'm just going to pick it up for now because I have the inventory space, but mole worms will need for a mid-game item later, and it's kind of handy to have that close to my base, so I'm going to kind of... he came from a catcoon. Catcoon, one of the rare drops that they can do when they hack something up, so to speak, is a mole worm, so I grabbed it while it happened just to have it, so that I have it, and like I said, I'm going to put him down somewhere closer to my base so that it is easier to get to him. And I'm just killing time waiting for night to fall now, so I'm just going to fill in some of the unexplored map here. Probably can do the whole rest of this zone, to be honest. Oh, and here meteors have destroyed a gold rock, so it's free resources, which we shouldn't ever turn up. This is the rock den. I'll go over that in a later episode, but that gets us a pet, which doesn't serve any functional usage, but is cute as heck. So it is something that you'll probably want to do at some point. Oh, there's a boon that I totally missed on the first go around, but that's fine. It's only a grass suit, which is a type of armor which is pretty weak overall. So not a huge loss. If it was a log suit, maybe I'd be a little bit more remorseful about it, but it's just a grass suit, so I'm not worried about it in the slightest. So we've just got 30 seconds now until night hits. Each dash on this wheel is 30 seconds, and if you count them out, that means that each day is 8 minutes long in Don't Starve. So just if you kind of wondered how long you've been playing, just take your day count, multiply it by 8, and then add up the little ticks that you've passed since then, and that's the amount of time that you've been playing. So we'll just jump on this road. We don't have to be at Glommer's statue right as night hits. We do have the whole night to get there. One thing to consider is if you're coming into this area after night falls on the full moon, if you hadn't been here before, these pigs will not be in their houses sleeping. They will be out and will have turned into were-pigs because it is the full moon. So that's another consideration to being close to a pig village, is that on full moons you will have to be careful to an extent that you don't get owned by the were-pigs. So we just click on the statue and we get Glommer's flower, and now this little guy will follow us wherever we go while we have the flower. The benefit to Glommer is that if we're close enough to him, even at night, we can override the sanity drain of the nighttime because he provides a sanity bonus while we're close to him. Normally, well, not normally, but I think it's about 66% of the time, seems like about 2/3 of the time, you'll get a pan flute beside Glommer's statue as well. This is a super handy item and is usually not available until you get the magic crafting open. But we always take the free pan flute, and as well we got a couple of green caps just lying around, so I'm going to grab those. You shouldn't need to worry about sanity restoring foods in the first season at all. This is because we usually have enough items to prototype that we can gain back all of the sanity that we need just by prototyping items. And you also kind of want to limit the amount of prototyping that you do based on your sanity. So if you've got full sanity, if you don't need to make a new item, you should hold off on it, because you can always like min-max your sanity regeneration by waiting until you need the sanity back later. Of course, if you need the item now, like you're even though you're full sanity, you need to get a weapon going, so you need to prototype your spear. Whatever, at that point, absolutely go for it. Get your spear up, get your weapon, get rocking with it. So that is getting food up and down, as well as the first minor event and the associated things with the full moon. You saw there that actually during a full moon you can see at night. You don't need a light source, so it is your one opportunity if you wanted to do something during the nighttime. That's one of the things that you can plan a full moon around if it's not going to go and get Glommer, although that's usually what you should be doing with that full night is, say like on day 29 or day 30 is kill Glommer, then that automatically will spawn a Krampus because of the way the Krampus mechanic works. Kill Krampus, have your shot at the Krampus sack, which is the best backpack in the game, and then on night 31 go get Glommer again and then bring him back to your base. So that is everything I wanted to cover in this episode. Thumbs up if you enjoyed. We'll make sure we get that meatball into us before the hunger goes out. We're going to put a Glommer's flower. Yeah, we got room in there, so we'll put it in there. He's close by our campfire so that while we're working away at night, if we don't have anything more important to do like cooking food, we can just stand beside him and not lose sanity over the night. Anyways, that is it for this one. As I said before, I appreciate you all. We will see you in the next one.